So it's Wednesday the 4th of August 21. I'm in Northumberland, just west of Newcastle, and I'm on Hadrian's Wall. And that's the quarry, and this is there's a little village just beyond it called Greenhead, so that's where I've started running from. And I'm going to run east for about 15 kilometres along Hadrian's Wall, along the path in the direction of Newcastle. And I haven't done this section before, but the later sections. I'm heading for a old Roman fort called Housesteads, and there's a ruin there, and I'm gonna meet up with Deb to get my transport home there. So I've said I've done part of this before, the latter part, about 6 kilometres, and I definitely wanted to come back because it's quite dramatic. I mean, you can always get a sense of how steep it is here. Very grassy, apart from if you go on the main crags in a little bit. I will stick to the actual path, the trail, because otherwise you end up scrambling hands, feet and knees in places. This is a good example. See, I can follow the wall itself, or I can follow the path that's designed for it. So that's my typical strategy, is to follow the actual Pennine. It's part of the Pennine Way, I believe, this part of the path. So say about 15 k's at this kind of walk run pace, which you're forced to doing. I mean, other than very fit people, it's sensible to walk the hills, the upward bits. Should take me about 2 hours. So this is the first of the ladders that I've had to encounter. See how craggy it is here. Get these amazing hills that you're dipping into and out of. So that's that first one negotiated. I think I'll be a lot stiffer later on in the run. You can see this, getting an impression of the climb I've got to now make. So just a quick update of those couple of big climbs. Some cows here. You can see it just said beware of cows and calves, just be careful. This is a bit more of a, I think this is about as flat as it gets around here, this section. And you can see you've got to pay attention because there's rocks, although a lot of places like here the ground is really quite soft going. You can see it's, despite the fact that it's fairly well used as a footpath, it's very green. So that's Stein number 5. So every kilometre roughly I'm seeing about 4 to 6 people hiking along here, and it's just a young group there. There's an older OAP group earlier. So every so often there are farmhouses along here, so you can see, right perched on the top of the crags. So that's my next big climb. You can see coming up, there'll be little ones in between. That'll be the next big one. And then I think I should get a look at Grag Lough. So I'm 5k in. This is an area called Cawfields. Looks like another quarry area that's now just been landscaped for people to enjoy. So it's getting pretty warm now. I'm going to start taking it easy, but you can see from the earlier shot I've got quite a climb to make very shortly. Again, here you can see the difference between, you can actually go along those crags or actually stick on the main way, which I will do. I will go up to the crags because the views are quite spectacular, so I want to have a look at those. So I did do that climb in the end. Probably did it the hard way, but to worry, so I'm up. You can see on the line of the wall now, walking right along the wall. You see I've still got a couple more climbs to do. You see I'm at Core Gap, so you can see the old where the tower used to be. You can see where I've got to head now over those hills. So amazing, spectacular views, and that's, can't see very far, but that's where I came from. Right, so I've just done that hill. Now I've got this one to go. Lovely, eh? I can definitely run down. I definitely can't run up these ones. I can barely walk up them. So here I'm at kind of at the top at Winshields, sorry. So this is one of the high points along this section. You can see there the view into the Northumberland Park here. So you get a sense there's a bit of a cliff here. You see it rolling down there to the south into England. So here we are at the highest point. Just stopped here for a minute, and it's been slower going than I was expecting, so been a lot more kind of craggy climbing than I was anticipating. This bit onwards I have done at least once before, so I know this a little bit better. Hello.
Hi.
Hiya.
Alright. Yeah, so here we are, right at the top. You can see the drop down there. Get a sense of the kind of layout of the land on there. So there's Grag Lough. So we're just gonna skirt around this. You can go over the top, but it's a real scramble. So I'm actually gonna run around the base of it and come up the other side. I will still go up to the tops of there, and you see where I'm going. You can kind of see the stonework going up that next hill where the line of trees are, and then it's downhill into Housesteads from there, into Housesteads fort, the old Roman fort, and there's a museum there as well, so there's lots of artefacts that were found on that site because it's quite an extensive site. Yeah, so pretty dramatic stuff around here, and not an easy run at all, but it's absolutely spectacular. It's well worth it. So here I go down into the dip, so I'm going to divert off into the path here off to the right hand side, and go on a slightly different route back onto the Pennine Way itself. So here I go. Last time I came through here in October 2019, 2 years ago, it's absolutely muddy as anything. This is one of those really boggy areas. About 10 kilometres in, there you can see the path. If you try and follow the wall proper, you get these lovely little dips, as you saw me walking on earlier. Here I've just kind of going on the parallel path, still pretty hilly, but you don't have to do quite so much scrambling. And then here is the famous Sycamore Gap. You can see up there the climb right up, and then you can start to see the sycamore. It'll start to emerge in a minute, and I think it's what they used with when Morgan Freeman met Kevin Costner in the Robin Hood film, I think. That's what I've been told anyway. So there's Sycamore Gap itself. See how steep it is. There's a lot more people than I remember last time coming through here, but you can see how spectacular that is, coming down and then going back up the hill the other side. And the single sycamore tree just sitting there. So I'm just going to carry on up this path, and then I've got about 5 kilometres to go now. Right, I've got 2 kilometres to go. So you can see it's getting a bit more finely manicured in places. So it's obviously had a bit of a grass cut up here. Get flagstones in a minute going up this hill. So that's the hill. It's one of the last climbs before the Housesteads. So these are the flagstones I was talking about that go up and around this corner. I think all the way up the hill, but they go to kind of the base of the hill before it gets really, really steep. On the top of the ridge, so I'm almost back in Housesteads. You can see the roof of the museum down there in the hill. I'm just going to run along a section of the wall, and this is one of the few sections where you can actually, it goes on the wall, and no, it's not illegal. It's actually part of the path. So I'm going to run a section along the wall itself, and then that's me done back at Housesteads. So here I go. So here's me on top of the wall. You can see the drop to the north on the left hand side here. And there's the to the south and towards Hexham. So just do a bit of a light run along the wall itself. So this is me on top of Hadrian's wall. And down into Housesteads, so not much farther to go, so nice run. Just a quick update on coronavirus situation. So here in the UK, there's a little over 20,000 new cases a day. They are principally in the young, but of course that does mean older people, particularly unvaccinated, catch it. So through last week we were having 900 admissions a day. That's now reduced down to about 700. Hopefully that's going to drop. The Netherlands did have that sort of rate, similar to the UK, for infections. They've dropped to about half that now. They're on about 2,000 a day. So remember, the Netherlands is about a quarter the size of the UK, but the hospital admissions just went up over the 100 a day in the last few days. Now hopefully that's going to drop again, but that's again indicative of that big surge that happened about a week to 10 days ago, when there's this huge, again principally amongst teens, and then that dropped off as the schools closed for the summer, and then you still had this very high surge in the 20-year-olds, and little blips you were then seeing in the older age groups, 30, 40, 50, 60, but nothing like we'd actually seen before. So I think this is yeah, this is a bit down in Housesteads. Almost ran straight past it, talking too much. So hopefully the situation is going to improve as the infection rates continue to come down, hopefully in the 20-year-olds. And they're now discussing here in the UK giving a vaccine to younger children, particularly the 16, 17-year-olds. It's just opened up, and discussing younger children down to 12 years old, as in other countries. There's certainly been giving those vaccinations already to vulnerable children, those with complications associated with poor outcomes with coronavirus. But hopefully that's all going to improve. But it's lovely weather here. Anyway, here we are. There's the Housesteads Museum. That's the remains of the fort. I should have showed you from the top really. And yeah, I'm just going to lightly jog down here and try and find my lift home.